Good day. Hello, CJ. How are you? And anybody else who got up a half an hour later than I normally do for Saturday. It is the 28th of September, 2024, and it is Saturday. And it worked out good. So hopefully it did for you. If it's too confusing, let me know, but we'll keep it Saturday at 8, Sunday at 9, and the rest of the week is at 7:30. Until such time as I can make it a little bit later and don't have to work so many hours, which I'm working on. Okay, we'll keep that going with the straw man information. It seems to be a very powerful thing. There's also something called the notice of liability, which I'm going to be exploring, and you can as well. I was watching a video yesterday of a woman, and I posted this video too on the website, ourladyisgod.com. You can watch the interview, where she's from New Zealand, and basically with the notice of liability and the errors of the government during the pandemic, she has enabled herself with courage. Okay, here's those virtues again. We're teaching virtues. She basically has a commercial lien on the entire government and the corporations involved in that debacle. And the number is so high of her commercial lien that, and I believe it's already happened, I need to get an update on it, but she was able to take over the existing operations of government in the entire country of New Zealand. Okay, so this is how powerful this stuff is for those who know who they are. The Trinitarian Theophany has given this sort of power to us to abuse or to use for the good. And this is what a Catholic monarchy would be doing. Okay, and I'm very happy that one of her first acts was and is going to be to restore all the jobs of those people who lost them because they refused to get that. And another one is that she's going to go to the banks and buy all of their mortgages for $1 and discharge them for all the people. So we are living in exciting times. There is no doubt, and the rats are running. All right, so goodness prevails, and we'll talk about that in obedience. How does that work? All right, welcome, Bob, and hello, Maria, and all of you who have stuck with this. And as Kyle pointed out, I am nothing. All good comes through me. That and from the Trinitarian Theophany. All right, let's get started with our good rising prayers, and we'll talk about obedience and some of the individuals who were good at that. One caveat I want to mention before we get started on the book, it talks about some founders of orders, and I don't know enough about them and their core beliefs, or whether or not they were ignorant of the Trinitarian Theophany, the true Trinitarian Theophany, or were they actively working against it in some form. But I'm gonna have to withhold judgment and just give you. I'm gonna read what the book says, and then you can take it, with whatever information that you may have and discern from there. All right, let's get started. And we're going to split that into two today. This subchapter, because it's quite long. In nomine Dei matronam nostrae, Deum Iesum Christum et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Let us place ourselves in the presence of the Trinitarian Theophany and in Catholic contemplation humbly venerate the Divine Family. Most holy and venerable Trinitarian Theophany, one Divine Family, I believe that thou art here present. I venerate thee with the deepest humility. I render to thee with my whole heart the homage which is due to thee. O Trinitarian Theophany, relying on thine infinite goodness and promises, I hope to obtain the pardon of my sins, the help of thy grace, and life everlasting, through the merits of Deum Iusum Christum et Deum Matronam Nostrae. O Trinitarian Theophany, I love thee above all things with my whole heart and soul, because thou art all good and worthy of all love. I love my neighbor as myself for love of thee, and I forgive all who have injured me, and ask pardon of all whom I have injured. I want to mention the demonic parasite thing is a real thing. Again, I'm working on helping my son to detox and kill them within him. And one of the results is night terrors, they call them, where your nightmares are so severe that you wake up screaming. And Ben had one of the worst ones that we have experienced last night, because we've been treating him, giving him some supplemental suppositories with a parasite killer in there. And what happens is when they die off, they release a lot of toxins, and these toxins cause these night terrors. And so if you have a lot of nightmares, more than likely you have a toxic parasite issue. So you have to work on those. I used to have a lot of nightmares, and since I've been doing that, virtually none. It's absolutely amazing. And when people hear these screams, it's a good thing we don't have close neighbors, because it literally sounds like he's being murdered. And, in this one, he actually, after the third scream, and we were in there trying to console him, he was sobbing. It was that scary for him. And now this is a 24-year-old. So know that this is real. And it happened, of course, at the demonic hour of like around 3 a.m. So you know that that's their intent is evil. So again, thank you for your prayers for him, and for our continued battle against them, and to try and get them to release his speech so he can talk. I'm sorry. Okay, let's get back to thank you. Let us thank the Trinitarian Theophany for the many graces that we receive, and offer ourselves and our sufferings up to the Trinitarian Theophany. And on behalf of Ben, I offer up his sufferings. O Trinitarian Theophany, I most humbly thank thee for all the favors thou hast bestowed upon me to the present moment. It is again thanks to thy bounty that I should live to see this day, and I desire to employ it solely in thy service. I consecrate to thee all my thoughts, words, actions, and sufferings of this day. Sanctify them, that there may be none that is not animated by thy love, or that would not tend to thy greater glory. Let us make a firm resolution to avoid evil and to do good, and let us beg of the Trinitarian Theophany the graces which are necessary to us. O Trinitarian Theophany, thou knowest my weakness, and that I am unable to do anything good without the help of thy grace. Deny me not thy grace, proportionate to my necessities. Give me strength to avoid everything which thou forbiddest, to practice the good which thou hast commanded, and enable me patiently to bear all the trials which it may please thee to send me. O Dea Matronam Nostra, I place myself under thy protection. I throw myself with confidence into the arms of thy compassion. Be to me, O Mother of Mercy, my refuge in distress, my consolation in suffering, my advocate, now and at the hour of my death. O most holy Trinitarian Theophany, Dea Matronam Nostra, et Deum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. I am heartily sorry for having offended thee, and I detest all my sins, because I dread the loss of heaven and the pains of hell. But most of all because they offend thee, O most holy Trinitarian Theophany, who are all good and deserving of all my love. I firmly resolve, with the help of thy grace, to confess my sins, to do penance, and to amend my life. Of those who have such love for obedience that they do not remain content with the general obedience of precepts, but take on themselves a particular obedience. And here's where we get into listening and being obedient to those of the temporal world. There are some, my dearest daughter, in whom the sweet and amorous fire of love towards obedience burns so high, which fire of love cannot exist without hatred of self-love, so that when the fire increases, so does this self-hatred, that they are not content to observe the precepts of the law with a general obedience, as you are all obliged to do if you will have life and not death, but take upon themselves a particular obedience, following the greatest perfection, so that they become observers of the counsels both in deed and in thought. Such as these wish to bind themselves more tightly through self-hatred, and in order to restrain in everything their own will. They either place themselves under the yoke of obedience in holy religion, the Holy Catholic religion, or without entering religion, they bind themselves to some creature, submitting their will to his, so as more expeditiously to unlock the door of heaven. These are they, as I have told thee, who have chosen the most perfect obedience. I have already spoken to thee of obedience in general, and as I know it to be thy will that I should speak to thee of this particular most perfect obedience, I will now relate to thee somewhat of this second kind, which is not divided from the first, but is more perfect. For as I have already told thee, these two kinds of obedience are so closely united together that they cannot be separated. I have told thee where general obedience is to be found, and whence it proceeds, and the cause of its loss. Now I will speak to thee of this particular obedience, not altering, however, the fundamental principle of the virtue. How a soul advances from general to particular obedience, and of the excellence of the Catholic religious orders. The soul who with love has submitted to the yoke of obedience, to the commandments, the Catholic commandments, following the doctrine of my truth, virtuously exercising herself, as has been said, in this general kind of obedience, will advance to the second kind by means of the same light which brought her to the first. For by the light of the most holy Catholic faith, she would have learnt in the blood of the humble Lamb, Deum Jesum Christum, my truth, the ineffable love which I have for her in her own fragility, which cannot respond to me with due perfection. So she wanders, seeking by that light in what place and in what way she can pay her debt, trampling on her own fragility and restraining her own will. Enlightened in her search by faith, she finds the place, namely, the Holy Catholic religion, which has been founded by the Trinitarian Theophany, appointed as the ship to receive souls who wish to hasten to perfection and to bring them to the port of salvation. The captain of this ship is Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, who never fails in himself through the defects of any of his religious subjects who may transgress the rule of the order. The ship itself cannot be damaged, but only the offender. It is true that the mistake of the steersman may send her down into the billows, and these are wicked pastors and prelates appointed by the master of the ship. The ship herself is so delightful that thy tongue could not narrate it. I say then that the soul, on fire with desire and a holy self-hatred, having found her place by the light of faith, enters there as one dead. If she is truly obedient, that is to say, if she has perfectly observed general obedience, and even if she should be imperfect when she enters, it does not follow that she cannot attain perfection. On the contrary, she attains it by exercising herself in the virtue of obedience. Indeed, most of those who enter are imperfect. There are some who enter already in perfection, others in the childhood of virtue, others through fear, others through penance, others through allurements. Everything depends on whether, after they have entered, they exercise themselves in virtue and persevere till death. For no true judgment can be made on a person's entrance into Catholic religion, but only on their perseverance. For many have appeared to be perfect, who have afterwards turned back or remained in the order with much imperfection, so that, as I have said, the active entrance into this ship ordained by me, who call men in different ways, does not supply material for a real judgment, but only the love of those who persevere therein with true obedience. The ship is rich, so that there is no need for the subject to think about his necessities, either temporal or soulfully. For if he is truly obedient and observes his order, he will be provided for by his master, who is Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, as I told thee when I spoke to thee of my providence, saying that though thy servants may be poor, they were never beggars. No more are these, for they find everything they need, and those who observe this order find this to be indeed true. Wherefore, see that in the days when the Catholic religious orders lived virtuously, blossoming with true poverty and fraternal charity, their temporal substance never failed them, but they had more than their needs demanded. But because the stench of self-love has entered and caused each to keep his private possessions and to fail in obedience, their temporal substance has failed, and the more they possess, to the greater destitution do they come. It is just that even in the smallest matters they should experience the fruit of disobedience. For had they been obedient and observed the vow of poverty, each would not have taken his own and lived privately. See the riches of these holy rules, so thoughtfully and luminously appointed by those who were examples of the Trinitarian Theophany. See with what judgment Benedict ordered his ship. See with what perfection and order the poverty of Francis ordered his ship, decked with the pearls of virtue, steering it in the way of lofty perfection. Being the first to give his order for a spouse, true and holy poverty, whom he had chosen for himself, embracing self-contempt and self-hatred, not desiring to please any creature, but only my will, desiring rather to be thought vile by the world, macerating his body and slaying his will, clothing himself in insults, sufferings, and jibes, for love of the humble Deum Iesum Christum, with whom he was fastened and nailed to the cross by love, so that by a singular grace there appeared in his body the very wounds of my truth, showing in the vessel of his body that which was in the love of his soul, so he prepared the way. But thou wilt say, are not all the other Catholic religious orders equally founded on this point? Yes, but though they are all founded on it, in no other is this the principal foundation. As with the virtues, though all the virtues draw their life from charity, nevertheless, I explain to thee in another place, one virtue belongs especially to one man, and another to another, and yet they all remain in charity. So with the principal foundation of the Catholic religious orders. Poverty belonged especially to my poor man Francis, who placed the principal foundation of his order in love for his poverty, and made it very strict for those who are perfect, for the few and the good, not for the majority. I say few because they are not many who choose this perfection, though now through their sins they are multiplied in numbers and deficient in virtue, not through defect of the ship, but through disobedient subjects and wicked rulers. I'm going to stop there, and tomorrow we'll talk about, we'll read about what Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum says about Dominic. Saint Dominic. Who we have a special connection. Deum Vobiscum, et quoque apote, oremus. O Trinitarian Theophany, the Creator and Redeemer of all the faithful, grant to the souls of thy servants and handmaids the remission of all their sins, that they may obtain by loving prayers the forgiveness which they have always desired, who livest and reignest with thee, one Trinitarian Theophany, forever and ever. Suscipe Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum hoc immaculatum hostiam, quam ego indenius famulos tuus affediti Deum meum vivum et verum, pro inimedibidibus peccatis et offensionibus et negligentis meis et pronibus circumstantibus sed pronibus fidedibus catholicorum vivis atque defunctis ut mihi et idis proficiat salutem. Deum qui culminae substantiae dignitatem mirabilita condidis et mirabilis reformasti de nobis perius atque et divino mysterium eius divinitatis esse consortes qui militatis nostrae fiat dignotis et particeps Deum Iesum Christum Filium qui tecum vivit et regnat in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Offerimus, tibi Deum calicem salutaris tuum da peccatis clementium, ut conspectu divinae majestatis tuae pro nostra totius mundis salute, cum adore suavitatis ascendat. In spiritu humilitatis et in animo contrito suscipiam rate Deum Iesum Christum, et sic fiat sacrificium nostrum et conspectu tuo hodie, placeat tibi Deum matronam nostrae et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Veni Sanctificator. Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, et sanctificita plata pro secundo, et accepere hoc sacrificium tuo sanctum nomini praeparatum. Suscipe Sancta Trinitas Sancoblationum quam tibi afferemus, a memoriam passionis, resurrectionis et ascensionis Deum Iesum Christum, et in honorem Deum matronam nostrae et Papa Peter Sanctorum et Istorum et omnium Sanctorum, ut idis proficiat ad honorem nobis autem ad salutem, et idi pro nobis intercedit et in interim caelis coram memoriam agimus in te spediendum Christum Deum nostrum. Orate ut meam equestrum sacrificium acceptabile fiat op Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Suscipiat Deum Iesum Christum sacrificium de manibus tuis et laudem et gloriam nominis sui ad utilitatem quoque nostram totiusque ecclesiae suae sanctae. Deum vobiscum, quoque apud te, sursum corda habemus ad Deum, gratias hagamus Deum nostrum, dignum et justum est. Te igitor clementes in mater et pater, Deum materam nostrae, Deum patrum spiritum sanctum, per Deum Iesum Christum filium tuum, Deum nostrae, supplices rogamus ad petimus. Uti accepta habeas, et sanctificas, haec sanctam sacrificium irribata. In primis quae tibi afferimus pro ecclesiam tuum sanctam catholicam, quam pacificare, custodire, honore, et regere digneris tot orbe terrarum ad quae catholicae. Memento Deum famulorum famulorum creatuorum. We pray for the sick and the suffering. We pray for Katie, Gage, Eleanor Lively, Marie Josephina Mose, Henry, Barbara, Benedict, and Robert Santa Croce, Mark Jr., Mr. Nobody, Anne Boltink, the Cantu and Duarte families, Michaela McLarnon and family, Janelina Laurie Aaron and family, Maria and the Lineweber family, the Cahill Kendrick Dasco Nye Tafor Wolf Began and Kane families, and all their intentions. We pray for Mr. Nobody to receive the funding and strength needed to complete the first Sede Vacantis Catholic Council office in Monastery of Illinois. We pray for an end to all governmental allowance or sanctioning of abortion, transgenderism, transhumanism, child trafficking, child abuse of any kind, anywhere, place, or time. We pray for the establishment of a Catholic monarchy with a sound Catholic system of labor, human value, medium of exchange with no usury. We pray for courageous men and women to step forward as leaders of this Catholic society, to have courage. We ask that all quote-unquote gay marriage be banned, and for a reversal of the feminist ideology and a return to godly femininity. We ask that all men and women come to understand that raising of traditional Catholic families is a very high ideal and a necessity for sustaining a Catholic society. And we ask that all pornography and the OnlyFans platform be stopped immediately and forever. We ask for the conversion of all sinners trapped in a state of mortal sin, especially for the ignorant and the prideful. We ask that all harmful radiation in our air and in our homes is stopped, and that we shut down CERN, close all gateways and portals, that are seeking ill and demonic items and intentions. We pray for wisdom on how to raise our families, and also how to grow natural foods and healthy foods, both in fruits and vegetables and in raising farm animals. We also ask that you destroy the satanic document of Vatican law that is the Jewish Talmud, that you destroy Rome and the Vatican and transfer the authority that recognized the authority of the Catholic Church to be in Portugal at this time, that you release the souls controlled by the demons Lilith and Asmodeus, and send those demons back to hell. We also ask you that you continue to block the passage of any so-called pandemic treaty by the WHO, again based on lies, and we also ask that you block efforts of the WEF, again their only purpose is to control and to promote evil. We also ask you to destroy all forms of Freemasonry and its tentacles that are everywhere throughout the lands, and bring the members into the submission of the Trinitarian Theophany to bring about good through correct baptism and confession, and not just to be minions of the evildoers. All this we ask in accordance with the Trinitarian Theophany's holy and divine will. et omnium circumstantiam quorum tibi fidis cognita est in nota devotio, pro quibus tibi afferimus, vel qui tibi offeruntur sacrificium laudis, prosis visque omnibus, pro redemptione animarum suarum, pro spe salutis et calamitatis suae, tibi credunt voluntas sua, aeterno Deum vivo et vero, communicantes et memoriam venerantes in primis gloriosae, semper Deum maternam nostrae, et Deum Iesum Christum, et Beatorum martyrium tuorum Papae Sancti Petri, et Sancti Luci, et Sancti Jacinti, et Sancti Francisco, et Sancti Juan Diego, et omnium sanctorum tuorum quorum meritis, praecibusque cancedas ut in omnibus protectionis tuae munam exidio per innum Christum Deum nostrum, quam oblatione de Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum in omnibus, consecratum acceptabilem, quae fecedi dineris ut nobis corpum, et sanguinem fiat dilictissimi filium tuum Deum Iesum Christum, qui pridie quam pater et recepit panem sanctus ac venerabilis manus suas, et elevatis oculis in calamite Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum suum omnipotentem tibi gratias agens, consecravit, frege dedique lunis sui dicens accipit et mandocate ex hoc omnes. Hoc est enim corpus meo. Simini modo postquam ceremonia est accipiens et hunc praeclaram calicem in sanctus ac venerabilis manus suas sit in tibi gratias agens Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, consecravit dedique lumis sui dicens accipit et bibite ex omnes. Hic est enim calix sanguinis mei, mysterium fidei, quae pro nobis et pro multis effundetur in remissione peccatorum, aequat est cum purificeritis in meum facetis. Unde et memores Deum nos servitui, ser plebs tua sancta eiustum Christum filium tuum Deum nostrae, tam beata passiones nec non et in fedis resurrectionis, sed et in caelos gloriosae ascensiones afferimus, praeclare maiestati tuae de tuis donis actatis, supra quae propitio ac sereno vultur respicieri digneris. Supplices te ragamus Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, iube hec per fide per manus tuum ut ex hoc auctoris participationis sacrosanctum Deum Filium tuum, corpus et sanguinem sincerimus omni sanctificatione caelesti et gratia repeamur per innum Christum Deum nostrae. We pray for those who have died, and we especially pray for Guadalupe Bertha Duarte, for whom this Mass is being offered. Ipsis Deum et omnibum in Christum quis gentibum locum reficere lucis et pacis ut under est pracamur per innum Christum Deum nostrum, per quem haec omnia Deum Iesum Christum semper bona creas, sanctificas, vivicas, consecratis et praestas nobis. Per ipsum et cum ipso et in ipso, est tibi Deum Matrum omnipotenti in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, omnis honor et gloria. Ave Deum maternam nostrae, gratia plena Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum tecum. Deum maternam nostrae, materam Deum Iesum Christum misericordia nobis, peccatoribus nunc et in hora mortis nostrae. Libera nos quaesimus, Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum abonibus malis, praeteritis praesentibus et futuris, et intercedente beata gloriosa semper Deum Matronam nostrae, cum Papa Petrum Sanctorum et omnibus sanctis da propitius pacem in divus nostris. Ut ope misericordiae Tuae aduiti et peccato, simus semper liberi et ab omni perturbatione securi. Per diem Deum nostrum, Iesum Christum Filium Tuum Deum nostrum, qui tecum vivit et reinat in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, per aeternam. Pax Deum, Iesum Christum, sit semper vobiscum, et quoque apud te, haec mixtio et consecratio corporis et sanguinis Deum Iesum Christum, fiat excipientibus nobis in et salutem aeternam. Pax tecum, et quoque apud te. Deum Iesum Christum, qui ex voluntate Deum Matronam nostrae, quoperante Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum per mortem Tuam unu vivificasti, libera me per hoc sacro sanctum corpus et sanguinem Tuum ab omnibus iniquitatibus meis, et universis malis, et fac me Tui semper in harare mandatis, et numquam separare permittas, qui cum eodem Deum Matronam nostrae et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum vivis et regnam aeternam. Perceptio corporis Tui Deum Iesum Christum, quod ego in nius sumere praesimo non mihi proveniat in judicium condemnationem, sed pro tua pietate prosit mihi ad tudamentum mentis corporis et ad medelam percipiendam, qui vivis et reinas cum Deum Matronam nostrae in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Panem calestum accipiem, et nomen Deum Iesum Christum invocabo. Deum Matronam nostrum non sunt dignius, ut intercedete meis in dante de quibus napaternam mea. Deum Iesum Christum non sunt dignius, ut intercedete meis in dante de quibus napaternam mea. Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum non sunt dignius, ut intercedete meis in dante de quibus napaternam mea. Corpus Deum nostrum Iesum Christum custodiet anima mea. Quid retribuum Deum Iesum Christum pro omnibus quae retribuit mihi, calicem saetaris excipiem et nomen Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum invocabo. Laudans invocabo Deum Matronam nostrae et ab inimicis meis abusero. Sanguis Deum nostrum Iesum Christum custodiet anima mea. Corpus Deum nostrum Iesum Christum custodiet animam tuum. Quod ore sumus Deum Iesum Christum pienamente capiamus et immunere temperae fiat nobis remedium sempiternum. corpus tuum Deum Iesum Christum quos samsit sanguis quam patavi et helevus et heriet visceribus meis apraesta ut in me non remaniat scelvam macula quem purat sancta reficenum sacramenta. Deum vobiscum, me quoque pote, oremus. May the prayer of thy suppliants profit the souls of thy servants and handmaids, we beseech thee, O Trinitarian Theophany, that thou mayest free them from all sins and make them sharers in thy redemption, who livest and reignest with thee, one Trinitarian Theophany, forever and ever. Deum vobiscum, et quoque pote, ite mise est. Deum gratia. Placia tibi sancta Trinitam obsequium servitutis meae, et praesta ut sacrificium corruculis tuae maestatis in nos olte tibi sit acceptabile mihique et omnibus, pro quibus idut octoliceti miserante propitiae per Christum Deum nostrum. Sanctificat vos omnipotens Deum, Matronam et Filium et Spiritum Sanctum, Deum Matronam Nostrae, Deum Iesum Christum et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Gratias. O most holy Trinitarian Theophany, I believe, I venerate, I hope, and I love thee. I beg of thee pardon for those who do not believe, do not venerate, do not hope, and do not love thee. Most holy Trinitarian Theophany, I venerate thee profoundly, and I offer to thee the most precious body, blood, soul, and divinity of God Jesus Christ, who was, is, and ever shall be, present here in reparation for the outrages, sacrileges, and indifference by which he himself is offended. And through the infinite merits of his most sacred heart and immaculate heart of Deum Matronam Nostrae, I beg of thee the conversion of poor sinners. In nomine Deum Matronam Nostrae, Deum Iesum Christum, Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Gracias. So as I contemplate what is transpiring in the world, and I can see that our prayers are beginning the stages of the Catholic monarchy. And I thank you for that. Your rosaries are tremendously powerful. You have no idea. So keep them up. And welcome, Alessandro. And any other new subscribers. And thank you for your prayers. Please strive for the transforming union in contemplation and with the virtues. We'll see you tomorrow. Please go and sanctify all those you meet. Yes, tomorrow is 9 a.m. Tomorrow at 9 a.m. Take care.